when it rains, it really does pour. I have a very deep calm about everything that's going on in the world right now. Many of us that have done a lot of shadow work over the last 8 years are feeling that way. I think it's probably why we were born at the time that we were born, because we still have so much youth and life ahead of us, but we also have lifted the veil and we understand that our purpose is to go against the status quo and to trust our spiritual gifts. And so I'm more inclined to share mine and to help educate people on what my understanding of getting closer to God and the universe and all that, which is a heavy task. And that is coming from somebody in the midst of this who is feeling pretty good and is not, I wouldn't say I'm at all spiritually far, but has been very actively doing spiritual work for now 15 years. So I just want to acknowledge how chaotic everything in the world is and how real the conflict in the world is. I think something that also gets lost in the shuffle with New Age spirituality is that we can vibe ourselves out of catastrophe or climate disaster, and we can't. We can vibe just oneself out of the reaction to calamity with calamity, but that's about it. The only thing that you can control is how you're perceiving what you're perceiving. So it's a tall order, and I am working on it just as much as you. And if anything, I think because I've been working more diligently on it than a lot of people, I have fucked up more than a lot of people. So I just want to encourage you, wherever you are on your spiritual journey, to keep going. And 2025 is going to be a year that's really, really important for the collective, and you doing your personal best is going to be really important. There's just not time for opting out. That being said, I also still feel really optimistic about the United States. I do think astrology pretty clearly points this out. There is a creator on TikTok. Her name is Brown Girl. She is a brilliant Vedic astrologer, and she has been breaking the Vedic transits down so specifically, and she is really invested in helping Americans navigate the rise of, am I allowed to say that? Am I allowed to upload it to YouTube if I say the F word for a regime? But, rise of like mustachioed men is also really detailed about what kind of karmic work is required. And obviously I know you're here, and I provide some of that, but she is someone that I go to when I kind of a little more direction. It's also raining in LA, and for the first time in 10 days or 11 days, I can just feel my shoulders relaxing. I know there's a lot to worry about with the rain too. I learned that yesterday, but just hearing it just reminds me actually of this spread, because it's such a, so disastrous and rapid and terrifying these last couple of weeks. And honestly, these last insert number of years here, but personally, these last couple of weeks, this is the first time I've been through wildfires. It's the scariest thing I've ever been through. Even now, out of the woods, Mars retrograde in Cancer suggests that we will deal with wildfires until around February 22nd. But still am so relieved to just hear this rain falling. I also just love when it rains in LA because it gives you permission to relax. This sounds truly privileged of me to be able to say, but it's so beautiful here all the time that I'm somebody that for every day that I interact with people, I need two to recoup. And LA give you a ton of permission to rest. Permission to rest, and it gives you permission for wellness, but you're inclined to not want to sleep on these beautiful days. And I also will say, as it relates to this spread too, that it but the thing that really made me realize that I have at some point really come to love living in California was the fires. As soon as that this thing was going to get taken away from me, I became very much more invested in it, I'll say. It is because I just have had 2 years here of really not knowing what my purpose is, and things just kind of consistently standing in the way. But if that was happening to you, I would tell you, that's the clearest sign that you're manifesting, that you're about to get everything that you've asked for. I think what we forget is that everything that we ask for changes consistently. And the reason that we always feel like there's more, the keeps getting pushed, is because the line keeps getting pushed. We keep accomplishing, not realizing that we're accomplishing, and then we need more, we want more, which is natural. But that's why it's so important to sink into the present moment. And as soon as we are able to understand that manifestation can be instant and is meant to be instant and is a feeling and not really an object, then everything will really rapidly come to pass. And right now, collectively, we're in a lot of conflict, which is hard, but we have to also remember our collective power to manifest. So the cards I pulled for it are the 5 of Swords, the 5 of Wands, 2 of Cups reversed, Strength, 9 of Swords, and 4 of Wands. So these first 2 cards, 5 of Swords, 5 of Wands, are both conflict. A lot of conflict. Swords are airs. This is how we think, how we communicate, how we travel. Wands are fire. This is how we create, how we move forward, how we take action. And together to start off, I really think, in fact, I just did a personal reading right before this that was for somebody that is generally pretty positive, and action oriented, but I could feel in this reading that they are just a little bit angry right now. And I think it's like us are even getting a second to grieve or be angry because there's so much to do. And I know I can't speak to this experience. If you are white, then I can understand how the last few years might have been jarring because you've perhaps come to see fully what the actual disparity is between you and everyone else. And I know that you also deserve to have your own grief over what's happening to your country. However, we really need y'all right now. The that things devolved as quickly as they did in 53 days, to be exact, in the 30s, was silence. And what worries me about that is I have mostly had quite silent white friends over the last 16 months. And the correlation is, I was on Instagram earlier this week, like the Venn diagram is just a circle. Zionism is equated to the rise of fascism. And what worries me is that I'm hearing some people talk about burnout, but I don't really seen for myself what y'all have done. Like, I've seen you maybe post, and most of you I haven't even seen post, but I've seen you post different resources or talk. You've told me maybe personally how horrible things are, but I need to see, and the spread will support this, I think what people need is to see action from everybody. And actually, by everybody, I mean Black and Indigenous people. And I just mean in terms of America. The rest of us, non-Black POC and white people, we have a lot of work to do and a lot of people to protect. So outside of that, non-Black POC that are citizens and to worry about La Migra. Okay, we have the 2 of Cups reversed. So what this is telling me is that there is probably within our collective a lot of relationship conflicts going on. It's like, this could be a person that's watching this who didn't, that their partner was right wing, or they have watched, this could be somebody that's like watched some more extreme. But this Five of Swords, Five of Wands, and then Two of Cups reversed is pretty flat out like it's breakup, a divorce, or just kind of separating of a relationship. I will say from a collective perspective, we are due for a billionaire boy divorce. And Five of Swords, the first card, is what comes up when you've gone for the jugular, when you've said like something creates a fissure and is irreparable. Like, not irreparable, it's like it's a scar no matter what. You know, it says something to you that you know you forget. That is such a unique, like, human experience, and that's what this Five of Swords is. So some of you could be just experiencing the revelation that your relationship is no longer working, and you are now starting to think of ways to exit. Again, collectively, this could be a lot of people trying to think about now how they will backpedal on the decisions they've made and who loyalty is to. And loyalty is important because this next card we have is Strength. It's Major Arcana. It's represented by Leo. 8 infinity things always happening. And this card is about who you're loyal to, and it's about loyalty to yourself. It's also about like what you will reliably do. And coming after a Five of Swords and Five of Wands and Two of Cups reversed, this is giving me a message of, right now actually it's collective, this is giving me a message of like, am I actually loyal to the people or my party? And am I even loyal to my party? Is this even my party? I do think there are a lot of MAGA Republicans and Republicans generally who are too stubborn to say something about it, but are experiencing some kind of internal revolution. And also think there is something to be said for ancestral vengeance happening, because then we have the Nine of Swords. And Nine of Swords is just making me think about people. Nine of Swords is a card of insomnia and just being agonized over something. And so, this is like about villains of ours who've been villains for 8 years, more than that. I mean, them are coming to the end of their lives, and I think are starting to realize, obvious that they don't actually practice the religion that they say they do, but the story for a different time, but I one time went to a sleepover in Alabama, and a bunch of girls took me to this mega church and made me get baptized in front of a bunch of people. And so I'll think to myself sometimes, wow, that was so horrifying and terrible and traumatizing. It's good though, if just in case they're right, like I have been covered in the blood of Christ, I guess. And that's kind of what I'm thinking of with these people is like, oh, I mean, you didn't have to tell me that I wasn't practicing this in the way that it's meant to be practiced. But now that I'm ill with this thing, or now that I'm approaching this end of life or whatever, now I'm kind of scared. And I also think these are much more scared than they're letting on of us and of the anger that's rising within us. And specifically, I think men are much more scared than they're letting on. And we need to just allow them to be, but we also need to kind of a reason to be. And I don't mean anything violent. I just mean a lot of stuff, like a lot of action, a lot of running for local, city council, and a lot of carrying rojas around so that people know their rights, a lot of community and to food banks, and just a lot of defiance by way of normalcy. And I guess I mean that to say we can't let them shake us this violently. Because this has always been the plan, and we've been on this road for a long time, and there is a lot of privilege that you need to explore if right now is the first time that you're like, oh, now I'm really scared. There's a sense in regretting what you've done before, but there is a lot of purpose in you doing something different henceforth. But because I think Joyanne Reid said this, and honestly, like, media, whatever, but Joyanne Reid said, give us shock and awe for the first 90 days. And that is also mustachioed man's playbook, literally. And I just kind of tough love you and tell you, especially if you are not in a demographic that is being essentially like muted right now, or silenced, muted right now. So, the Black community, the Indigenous community, undocumented community, I'm really talking to those of us that are very privileged and very capable of taking on, generally, it's really, really to be about it right now. And the more that we continue to behave as if, it's like the playground rule, right? Like, if a boy's being mean to you, he really likes you, which I know is really infantilizing, like actual administration. But in my life, the thing that has always made a man go is ignoring him. And so the more that we can continue to spread joy and celebrate and sorry, I forgot to say there's a Four of Wands at the end of this, after this Nine of Swords, which is us being like kept at night, not being able to sleep, just being terrified for the future. Then Four of Wands is, still a lot to celebrate. Like, someone's still graduating, so-and-so is still getting married. You let the once in a lifetime joyful moments slip through your fingers anymore. We've gone through a lot of that. We've already had to not sacrifice, but we've already had to go really, really inward, about these last 4 years. Like, this has been totally insane. And spread is really saying, like, yeah, we're at the peak, from 2020 to 2025, we are just been building, our disdain has been building, our hopelessness has been building. They're going for the jugular. They're saying to us, oh, you thought that was bad? What about this? And it's so stunning and so painful that you freeze, right? And when you're frozen, you can't take any action. And then this Five of Wands is really just not being able to see through the chaos of anything, because there are so many opinions. And even if you've done the research to make sure that something that you're saying is right, someone else has also done a different kind of research and somehow has just enough proof to say that what you're saying is wrong. And we are just all falling into their trap. And I don't mean to have a tinfoil hat on about it. I think it's really just the playbook of dictatorships. And is going through a Pluto return that is very consequential. And there is such a thing as multiple timelines, and the law of attraction, and quantum leaping, and telepathy, and this last year, aliens. Like, just these last 18 months, we've had the CIA just acknowledge low-key that all of that stuff is actually real, and they've spent millions of dollars, probably more, learning how to use tools like that, and also how to keep them from the public. And I don't know, I think people that have grown up in America, it's so hard to imagine what life is actually about and how many things exist outside of here and outside of us, because we have the gift of being in a world of a country. And that is so beautiful and is worth preserving. And Pluto and Aquarius and America's Pluto return both just say, like, well, you're on a windy road up a mountain and you nothing to do but keep going up. And until you find a spot, it's just, this is frustrating. And I, as intuitive, feel frustrated because for so long I mean, I just am like, it's weird, saying to myself, like, not on my timeline, like, on my timeline, he's not president. On my timeline, like, there is still a victory to be had. On my timeline, humanity pulls through. On my timeline, we reverse climate disaster. On my timeline, Palestine is free. On my timeline, I think there's just, when I zoom out and when I read collectively for y'all, it's so obvious to me what's happening right now and what is required of us. But, as I snap out of it, I am back in my kind of understanding everything, and I just so tired. I'm tired. But the spread is really telling us, like, look, are you going to compromise? First of all, like, are you going to compromise your life by either staying in a relationship that is not right, or to walk away from a relationship that is right or could be right? It's saying, like, be loyal to yourself. Like, you're kept up at night, you're barely getting any rest. This can lead to, like, bad health, and stress help you. It's only going to make you age and sick and tired to participate in the revolution, and we really need you. So, Four of Wands, there's a lot to celebrate. There's still, life goes on. Like, remember how many stories there were of many devastating, truly horrifying stories as there have been over the last year. There were a couple of really beautiful stories of people getting married in Palestine. Just in your own life, look around and see there are so many people that are joyful in the face of fascism, and everybody keeps going, so much stuff going on all the time. And now we all of this also going on. And I think the spread is just like, are you really gonna, like, you're gonna have petty arguments, you're gonna troll online, you're gonna perhaps, like, sacrifice a relationship, you're gonna be disloyal, as in, like, maybe some of you is not somebody that you're in a relationship with and you're being unfaithful to someone else and it's keeping you up at night. That's another. And maybe you're about to get married to that person. This is another interpretation of that. That could be very specific, but always kind of going to be. And especially for people that can't go back once they've learned something or once they're awake, can you find the joy? And where are you higher on the ladder? And how can you help people that are lower on the ladder than you? And also, Strength card, like, how can you take care of yourself and be loyal to yourself? And, I'm saying to myself lately, I'm doing so much, but there's not even a of me that is like, oh, well, I'm done acting, or I'm done singing, or I guess I'm not going to meet that guy. I guess I'll never truly feel financially free. Like, I am rip roaring to go. And I again, really think that's because I've been in the trenches for 8 years, but still, it's better over here. It is better to take action and manifest. It is better to be aware of class consciousness and to dream of your ideal vacation, everything at once. And honestly, I could just say that in a million videos until time, I guess, but right now is just so crucial, and you are so crucial, and the journey into spirituality is so crucial. And that's also, we're book club for the Patreon, and the first book is Women Who Run with Wolves. I'm going to link it. I've recorded this reading, so I'm going to link the book below, and we will do like a reading around the book and just a chat about it a month from now. So that's the spread. Time's really hard, but don't down to anybody's level. Just trust the process. I promise you, this year, I can't say specifically how, or because I don't think it's ever happened before. This year is so insane, but I keep getting the message that we really are going to be okay, and we need to just plan for the day of. We need to mobilize around helping the people that need help right now, and we have to also trust that larger forces, and I don't mean like larger forces, I mean are also doing their job, and As terrible as imperialism is and as scary things like the military are, there are also, you have to remember that there are a ton of individual people within that institutions, the three-letter agencies, the military, etc., who actually do their job well. And I don't comfortable in saying that then goes down to the police. But I think within federal agencies and within the military specifically, there are actually a lot of people that want to make a difference. And I think there are genuinely more people that are working on stuff than are not. I think those people don't have the time to be on social media and posting. And those are the kind of people that probably don't need any outer validation for what they're doing. And there's also probably a protocol for the kind of thing they're doing. So just take my hand and trust me when I say that, like, this is actually going to be a really beautiful one. It's just tough. I will say, in terms of collective messages that you need to know, every time you go to the grocery store from now on, I just want you to grab one extra can of beans, a canned fish, some kind of shelf-stable food that you like. Time to go back to your Chef Boyardee days. Just one every time you go grocery shop. I just want you to make sure that you have at least $100 of cash on you, or not even 100, just enough to fill a gas tank, or enough to fill a gas tank. Same way that Californians have been hyper aware of how to prepare for emergencies. All of my weather predictions stand for the year. This is going to be a pretty rollicking year in terms of natural disasters. So I just want you to be prepared. I said this in the last reading, there's nothing apocalyptic. The world is not ending. It's not ending. We are safe. We're okay. I, again, literally press stop on this and we'll be like, oh my God, we're so cooked. But me, my higher self, I know that we are okay. I know, though, that also we are in a year of needing to be prepared and to not be too inflammatory, to just take things as they come. And that is just not sacrificing the things that you really do love and the people that you love for the sake of panic. Just take a deep breath, and above all, let's just do our best.